Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Dalmar, and we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Peter Dobo. Welcome to the Jewish View, Peter.
Thank you very much, Rabbi
Well,
Simon.
we call yourself a planetary alchemist, so therefore you're going to have to define terms of what that really is.
Absolutely.
Because planetary, I think of something in the sky, and alchemist is working with metals, but you explain it what you mean by a planetary alchemist.
No, I certainly will. Well, the planet that I'm thinking about and referring to is our own planet. And my work has been throughout my life to try to, we'll call it, transmute that planet. So I would like to talk some about alchemy in general and how that relates to Judaism.
All right, very good. That sounds like an interesting topic for our viewers.
Absolutely, it is. Well, let's see. I'm going to have to refer to my telephone here once in a while, but one of the my concept is the whole idea of transmuting our planet, which in many aspects has the sense of Gehenna, of hell about it. And the attempt is to transmute it into paradise or paradise, Adam and Heva. So how do we do this? We'll talk about different ways of transmuting the planet.
Are you talking about physically to physical or physical to spiritual?
I think it's spiritual to spiritual, and but who knows, the physical may also come into play. There are, according to classic alchemy, there are 4 elements of existence. Earth, water, air, and fire. And alchemy has a lot of symbols. So the symbols for these elements are, first of all, you've got the heaviest, which is a downward-facing triangle with a line going through it. And this is the element earth. If you remove the line, then it's just the downward-facing triangle, and that is water. Turn the triangle upside down so that it's pointing upward with the line in it, and that becomes air. And the most volatile alchemical symbol is removing that line, and it becomes fire. So what happens if you take these 4 elements and you kind of smush them all together into one thing? What's that? It's the Magen David, the Star of David. There's a big empty space in the middle. What's that? It's what creates the 4 elements, and from them all of existence. It's Hashem, the name, the infinite, the everything, nothing of the Creator. So that fascinated me for quite some time. I would like to tell you just a little bit about my history from a couple of different aspects, still relating to the 4 elements of existence. What I did when I was younger and also growing up was ended up being the 4 elements. I was fascinated by caving, a member of the National Speleological Society. I had a sailboat and sailed for many years, so that's the water element. After that comes air, and I was a sailplane pilot. I still had my license, but you tow up behind a motor plane and release, and you are intimately connecting to the element of air. And the last one is fire. I moved out to California from the, let's see, I guess that was the county, up north, not coming to me right now, but, and when I did, we ended up living in Trinity County, which is one of the northern counties that has a lot of wildfires. And I became a member of the fire department, and we are, my daughter's is now the chief of the fire department, and we are an initial attack wildland fire department. So we get a call and we'll go out and do everything that we can to put the fire out. So
Of wildfires? I mean, that
Wildfires.
takes a lot of, I mean, usually you see tons of people come
Right.
in and tons of
Correct.
equipment and planes.
exactly, yes. And what happens is we're initial attack. So we get out there as fast as we can. I've got the truck with 500 gallons of water in it parked right next to my front door. We get toned out and we go out, and my job is to get the water to the fire as fast and as quickly as I possibly can.
Why is it such a fire in Northern California?
Oh,
I mean, you would
absolutely.
think that's, I mean, it's not that dry, is it? I guess maybe it is. I
It
guess.
gets very dry. The fire that burned through a third of our community in 2015 was at the end of 3 years of zero precipitation.
Really?
Zero
I didn't
precipitation.
think Northern
for
California.
3
I
years.
always think of grapes and, you know, fruits and
You're not
vegetables.
quite far enough north. We're 60 miles south of the Oregon border, and you know, it can be very dry. It can also be, last year's winter we had 7 feet of snow all
Yeah.
told. So it
never
can
know
also
where you're
be
gonna
very-
get it.
You're right, exactly. Be prepared for anything. So that's, you know, I've had an intimate relationship with all 4 elements of existence and have learned how to work with them. Going back to, well, my much younger years, I was majoring in botany, and some friends of ours, and myself included, went to this community of spiritualists. And we each had a reading. So I'm sitting there, this woman wasn't, her English was okay, but it wasn't great. So she says she wanted something in mind to hold. I gave her my jackknife that was always with me. And so she's holding the jackknife, and she says, "You're one of those people, I don't know what the word is, but you know how to turn lead into gold." And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the silliest thing I ever heard. And I'm like,
Should have said, "Show me how over here. I'll
that's
take a
a
little
great
bit of
idea. I
gold."
love it.
Should have said a little gold. I'll
Yeah, yeah.
take that, but all right.
Sprinkle some stardust on it, right? So
Whatever you-
anyway, I forgot about it for a while and then started reading some alchemical texts and some things about alchemy, and became very interested, and actually ended up, I studied herbal medicinal alchemy for 3 years online and with intensives in person up in southern Oregon. And that really helped things out quite a bit, where you take herbal medicines, and through a number of processes transmute them into very powerful medicines that are also basically safe. So that's what happened there. As far as, sorry about that, as far as my spiritual work is concerned, I had my bar mitzvah, and
Where are you from? Where's your
I
hometown?
come from Poughkeepsie originally.
All right, so you're a
Yeah.
New Yorker.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful Hudson Valley. It's amazing there. But you know, I was always thinking, well, what's the point here? What's the key to, you know, our existence, and how does Judaism? I'm sorry, my daughter. How does Judaism fit into that? So I was like, well, I started doing yoga and meditation. I did transcendental meditation for 20 years and didn't feel any closer to that answer. So then I switched over to Tibetan Buddhism. And still another 20 years, 1 hour a day, and it's like, well, that's great. I know how to meditate, but how does this really relate? And the one thing, conclusion that I came to was that looking at and trying to relate to an image of another human being is not the answer. I don't see that in the natural world. One of the key sayings of alchemy is follow nature. If you're not following nature, you're off course. And that's what I've tried to do with my whole life. I was a horticulturist and a stonemason, and I've always worked with nature. That's just naturally been my thing. So after 40 years, I'm like, what's going on here? And finally I said, you know, genetically I'm Jewish, so maybe we ought to give that another shot. And I did. I started studying with a very good friend of mine who you know, and started to learn the alphabet and the words. And at some point, my wife and I were down, we spent winters in the Florida Keys, just kayaking. I'm on a key 8 miles offshore and by myself, and pulled the kayak, I beached it, went and stood in the water about waist deep, and I was so impressed with the whole situation. I mean, perfect blue sky, warm water, blue water, and white sand, and I just started, I put my hands up in the air and I said, Hashemayim, and I put my arms down and said, Mayim, and it was like just a little chant, Mayim v'Hashemayim, the waters and the heavens, and I did that for a while, and that was fantastic. It was really simple, it was what I knew at the time, but it was also really effective. So, let me see where I am here. Oh gosh, and we are going to get back to Judaism, sure enough. Yep. So, but first let's talk about, you know, this thing about alchemy, which we all know. I'm not going to transmute lead into gold. If you
Too bad over here.
I know, I'm disappointed.
Get a nice donation over here.
Exactly. Yeah, oh, a wonderful donation. If I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you.
Yeah.
If you provide me with a team of physicists and a cyclotron, I promise, but it'll probably only be a couple of molecules, which wouldn't quite do the trick, right?
Get us rich, right? All right.
Oh, let's see. Oh, yes. So from an energy perspective, if we think about the qualities of lead, which was used in ancient Rome for sewers, which nobody really wants to deal with that kind of thing. The qualities of gold, which everybody wants. You would like to have some gold?
Right.
I'd like to have some gold. Gold's pretty cool stuff, right? So, but saying if we think of lead and gold as theoretical concepts, what can we do with our bodies and minds in order to turn lead into gold? So I thought about that some more, and I realized, well, there are essentially three things to the human condition. We've got energy coming in, energy going out, and we also move around. So what would be the lead of each one of those situations? Well, the lead for energy coming in is actually, to my mind, vegetarianism. I haven't eaten meat in over 50 years. Most people are not the least bit interested in doing that. There are 2% of the American population or the planet is vegetarian. So that seems like a real lead situation to me. Everybody's like, that's nice, I'm glad that you're doing that, but it's not for me. So the goal of that, interestingly enough, is that if we were able to, right now, you know, stop all internal combustion engines, we would see a dramatic change in our environment and our lives in about 100 years. If we took the vegetarian approach and the whole planet stopped eating meat instead of 2%, we would see a dramatic change tomorrow. It takes,
Right, because of the cows. I mean, well,
the cows, the energy, the whole thing, all the energy that it takes in order to just bring cows to market and put fertilizer on the garden and the whole thing. So it's like, it's simple, it's easy. We don't want to do it, but it's absolutely a solution. It takes 17 times more land, water, and energy to create a pound of beef protein as it does to create a pound of vegetable protein. And I'm happy to see that people really are transitioning, and a lot of these products that sure enough taste like meat, my family won't eat them. They say it tastes too much like meat, you know, but I enjoy it. Yes, there are much more coming to market. So anyway, that's energy from a perspective of energy in. Energy out is something that we really don't want to talk about, which is poop and pee. And it's like, what's that got to do with alchemy or Judaism? Well, what I've done for a number of years now, and it was difficult to transition into this, is I have had a composting toilet. And it's with peat moss, it doesn't smell at all. You put it on your compost pile and turn it and compost it for 2 years, and then you can put it on your fruit trees, on your vegetable garden. It's fantastic fertilizer. So once again, we're taking something that's disgusting, discarded, and nobody wants to deal with it at all. It's way easier to push the lever and have it disappear than it is to do all of that, but it offers incredible solutions to the whole world situation. And
That's a very interesting idea.
Oh,
all right,
good, yeah, it is. It's and it's interesting, more interesting to do it. And it's not quite as terrible as people would think, but by a long shot, really. The third thing is, how do we get about? And that's where we get into the whole transportation thing. And what I've enjoyed doing, and do whenever the opportunity arises, is I take ground public transportation. Nobody wants to do that. Who wants to take the bus? You know, really. Not quite as much the train. I've been across the country by train. I travel whenever I can by bus, you know, and it's wonderful. And it's energy efficient too. And it brings people together in some remarkable ways. So those are the three things that I said, well, you know, if we were all doing this kind of stuff, it would be a much easier world to live in. So, yeah, just going along, let's talk about, and let me just also mention that the really interesting thing about composting, there's a book called Humanure, and what we're really doing with the process that I described is we're using our own bodies, our own digestive system, and every cell in our body to transmute something that's gross into something it's organic fertilizer. Oh yeah, organic products cost a whole lot more than conventional garden products. So, but anyway.
It's a very Jewish idea, once put an idea for Jewish, once you're saying this to me, is because there are 4 kingdoms in the world, again, just like you were saying, air and fire, but there's the inanimate, the vegetable, the animal, and man, and really the purpose is not just to vegetate and just be what you are, is to raise things up. I mean, we are here, so the obviously a vegetable needs the earth and the water, which are inanimate. The animals, whatever the bees, they need the flowers, whatever the kind of animals they are. And the human being needs everything. You need water, and you need all the other products of the entire universe or the earth. And the idea is to raise it up to a higher level. Well, Jewish people say raise up the human being. Don't descend to be like an animal, but on the other hand, try to be a little bit godly, raise yourself up. So this kind of idea really is a a Jewish idea of transferring, you know, something good to something better. Using something you might say waste products, but it also says it's an interesting thing. The Almighty didn't create anything in this world for waste, for nothing. So, you know, who needs the flies? You could say, who needs an ant? You know, you get rid of them. But really, if you look at the bigger scheme of things, they do come and play, and everything has its purpose. And there's just nothing extra superfluous in this world. So it just goes hand in hand with what you were coming to by your own self over here.
Really, yeah, just by a process of bumbling around and trying to figure it out. And so, but, you know, I haven't talked much about how Judaism fits into this whole situation. My magic
I'm looking forward to that.
Magic piece of plastic. I would think you would be, yes. So, well, all right. What I've got here is there are really two things that I ended up being focused on, and I guess it's what a lot of times people learn when they start learning Hebrew, and that's the Shema and the Shemona Esrei. Well, we all know what that has to do with Judaism, but what the heck does it have to do with alchemy? Here's what I see. As far as the Shema is concerned, let me just, in the beginning, say that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that one valid interpretation, certainly not the foremost one, but I believe that one valid interpretation of the word Yisrael is Yasar El, upright in front of God, which to me refers to, so is that kosher?
It's good. Listen, it's not the main idea,
That's what I said, right.
But it's not that's not an issue. You're allowed to be interpretive. God is infinite, His Torah is infinite, and it's a valid, you can't just be off the road over here with your interpretations, but on the other hand, it's a beautiful idea.
Oh, cool, great.
Yeah.
So maybe we're somewhere on the, what do they call the side of the road there?
You're on the road, not on the side of the
Okay,
road.
excellent, excellent.
There you go.
So if we're saying Yisrael, Yisar, El, upright in front of God, well, that refers to you, it refers to me, it refers to our people, and to our species. It's really, anybody that's standing is theoretically Yisar, El, upright in front of God. So if we take that interpretation, and we're saying, hey, listen up, Yisar El, upright in front of God, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Duh, and we always pronounce the Duh, and I know what the conventional interpretation of that is, but I want to suggest an alternative interpretation, which is the Duh is a Dalet, and the letter Dalet, D in our language, is basically a horizontal line and a vertical line connecting. So if we take the points at which those two lines begin and bring them together as the Dalet does, well, we're going from duality, two separate points, to total connection, which is unity. And that, I believe, is the key, the focal point to everything that we're trying to do. At the end of our prayers, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, we say, I'm sorry, I'm losing it again here for a second.
Shema Yisrael.
No. Yeh Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. But it's even more specific than that, because it's putting it right out there. It's saying Hashem, our God, is one. But, or and Shemo, his name is one. Well, yeah, that's nice. Hashem is one. We all know that, right? Shemo Echad, and his name is one. That doesn't make sense, because now we've got duality. Hashem is one and his name is one, but they're both one. So how is that possible? How can that be? We've always been taught that Hashem is one, that's kind of it, but now we're saying it's both. And it's not that the one creates the other or anything like that. It's that both of those situations exist at the same time. And as we've discussed before, it's a non-logical construction. The universe is a non-logical construction because according to our readings, both of those things are happening at the same time, all the time. It's Vayom Hahu, right now, this instant, every instant. Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad.
It's a beautiful thing you're coming up with, because the idea that nature and above nature, you could say supernatural or godly, use that idea, fuses as one. And it really is, it's a thing that people just don't see it. Either they're too physical, they just see, hey, I see what's around me, and that it is what it is, and they're missing the spiritual component, or they get a little too spiritual, they're out of this world and they can't deal with this world at all, because it is so, I mean, you were saying before, like evil and bad in this world, and the idea is to fuse it together to bring the spiritual into the physical and raise up the physical to the spiritual. So it's a beautiful idea that you're bringing out.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We're, I guess we're getting close to the end of our time. Is that
You're right.
correct? Okay.
You have one more word ID?
I do. I absolutely
All
do.
right, so
let me just see here. Oh, one of the things that I wanted to say was, oh, well, yes, of course. This is really important that when we start the Shemona Ezra, we say, Tur Yisrael, the rock of upright in front of God, which to me is planet Earth, and we're beseeching Hashem, raise up planet Earth. Tur Yisrael Kuma, raise up Yisrael. And so then we go through the 18 little prayers of the Shemona Ezra, and at the very end, we say, Oseh Shalom Ben Rav, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael. But it's not what we say, it's what we're doing with our bodies again. What we're doing is we're actually transmuting the whole situation, because this movement is the infinity symbol. So in the beginning of the Shemona Ezra, we're like, God, please, you know, raise up the earth so that to help Yisrael. And at the end, we make the infinity symbol. So we're going with our bodies from earth to infinite. And if you don't know Hebrew and you don't begin to know how to read it, there's another simple way, a very simple way to do it. But the critical thing is that the soles of our feet have insulators on them. Our shoe soles are insulated. So I go outside and I take my shoes off and I stand with wool socks anywhere on the earth. And then when I do this transmutation, it's actually taking the energy of the earth and bringing it through our bodies into the energy of the infinite. And I am completely convinced that that is a way that we can move forward. But if you don't know how to read the Hebrew, it's easy.
It's important. Well, so we always say you can pray in any language, the truth is, so it shouldn't hold anybody back from praying.
Exactly.
On the other hand, there's so many secrets, and you're just mentioning a few in the Hebrew
I'm interested in one secret, and that one secret, simply put, just like when I was standing in the Caribbean beautiful waters, is I look up and I say blue because it is blue, and I know for a fact that it's blue. And I look down and say granite because I know that granite is the most abundant mineral on the planet and it's electrically active. And so I do that 7 times, and then I just stand there with my eyes mostly closed so that the light comes in, but images don't, and I can feel the energy of the earth coming through me and transmuting into the energy of the
beautiful,
into the energy of the infinite.
On that note, it's a beautiful, you're saying some beautiful things. I want to thank Peter Dobo for call it the Planetary Alchemist. So at first we didn't understand it. Now after a beautiful show, now we have the idea of what you're thinking about. Thank you very much for being on the Jewish View.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Simon.